If you hear the shouting, it's a group of demonstrators who've come. 9/11 was an inside job. Get a life.
I hope, I believe.
So just, I like to play a game with guests when they first come on to the show. We have Bob Chapman coming on, we have Michael Desarian coming on, and David Icke has been on a radio station with Vince, TNS radio with Vince, and I like to play a game with the listeners and the guests, and I like to say, for anyone who's just listening for the first time, they've just got home from some stifling office job where they've got mercury-filled lights giving them migraines and cancer all day, and they've got home and they just happen to flick through the net and they find us, and they believe that global warming is real right up to now, and suddenly an astrophysicist is on the radio saying that everything this chap is watching on the television is a lie. What would you say to someone if you're sitting on a park bench having your lunch and they tut at the headline, "Oh, global warming, we're all going to die in 50 years if we don't do something now," and he tuts? What would you say to that man on the bench?
Well, I usually say, well, do you think this has happened before? And they say, oh, no, it couldn't have, it's new. I said, well, actually, it has. It's all happened before. And, you know, any example they have.
The medieval warm period, yeah.
Yeah, usually they say things like the hottest, coldest, whatever it is, for 100 years. And then I say, well, okay, it could be, but what happened 100 years ago? What caused it 100 years ago? And then they have a problem. And, of course, these things are all natural. And in reality, the world is not actually warming now. Even under the fiddle data, it's not warming. But it's also not the case there's more extremes. There's certainly more reporters of extreme events because we have, you know, massive media that we never had before. But there's no evidence for their claims at all. And then, well, people get a bit excited and shocked and then say, yeah, but surely it's all good anyway that we're reducing waste and so on. And I say, well, if you want to reduce waste, you reduce waste, but you don't need to be told lies to do this. If someone's telling you lies, they must have another motive.
Well, I feel...
And then, you know,
sorry.
people talk.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah. And people talk?
Yeah, it's usually, yeah.
Well, I mean, people talk and they exchange ideas, and once they've heard a sample of the truth, they ought to be interested in finding out a bit more about it. So with the rise of the internet, and they are trying to slam down on it quite harsh with Obama's kill switch, we do have the facilities at the moment, and we've got to fight to keep them. It's free speech after all. We do have the facilities to spread the word and be a counter to the mass media mind manipulation. That in itself, you may agree, is a science. The actual mind control and the lies on the BBC.
Oh yeah, we have a worldwide brainwashing machine now.
Right.
But it has holes in it because of the internet. But you know, one dreads to think of you know, what happened in Russia and what happened in Hitler's Germany. People went along with that stuff because they didn't know anything else.
Yeah. Well, the propaganda machine of Goebbels was unprecedented.
Remember that? Hitler was elected. I mean, that is a stunning thing, isn't it? You know, people were brainwashed by lies upon lies. And that is happening now. But there are increasingly people seeing through it. I mean, you know, the opinion polls all show that things are moving in the direction of climate realism.
Climate realism? I like the sound of that.
Yes. Well, I call myself a climate realist because a skeptic, well, I'm not, you know, I mean, well, obviously I'm totally skeptical of what they say, but the point is climate always has been changing, so, you know, we have a realistic view of the world.
Speaking of World War II, I've seen I've seen a couple of Lancaster bombers flying around my house today. There's an air show, and I was telling my nephew, it was great to hear the Merlin engines screaming. Beautiful song. I was telling my nephew that, you know, these chaps went over to Germany when they were bombing in London with the Blitz. These chaps went over there and they were very brave, and many died, and you know. And I was just thinking, well, they're actually flying around in the middle of chemtrails at the moment, and the war is on humanity now. The war is on people. If people are expecting, are worried about a third world war, we're in it. So I mean, coming back to what you were saying about being a climate realist. I mean, they use and I'm trying to tie this in with World War Two. After World War Two, if anyone even doubted any small detail of the Holocaust, which actually in Yiddish means burnt sacrifice, they only had to douse them with the denialist, with the Holocaust denialist claim. Now they're doing that to anyone who says that global warming is not real. They're saying they're denialist. They're using that very, very subtle psychological language. Do you get that?
Plain language, and it's very dangerous. Very dangerous. I confronted George Monbiot with exactly this point after that Guardian debate.
George Monbiot is an absolute monster and a disgrace to science and humanity in general.
Well, I agree with you, absolutely. But anyway, I confronted him.
Psychopath. Absolute psychopath. You only have to look at his eyes and you know that man is lying and he's desperate and he's greedy. He's a scumbag. I'm sorry, but
he said, no problem. I said, look, you're accusing me of climate change denial, but I don't deny any climate change. It's always been changing. So why do you use this pejorative term? And he said, well, you're denying man-made climate change, aren't you? And I said, well, of course I am. He said, well, that's all we mean by it. I said, well, that isn't what the public understand by it. You don't need to use such a phrase.
Oh, well.
So, you know, here we are.
Well, the public are supposed to just drink the fluoride and shut up and believe everything that's on the television, be a good slave, pay your taxes and die like good little slaves. That's it. I mean, George Monbiot is just the epitome of everything that's wrong with England. I mean, he's probably not even English. He's probably gets his copy of the Socialist Worker every week.
I don't know where he's from. Yeah.
Well, he's from Planet Pop Tart. That's where he's from. Sorry. I'll try and stay on subject. Science has generally been held back in history. I mean, new technologies we know are 50 to 80 years old. On Normandy Beach, you can see one of the guys with a mobile phone boasting to his friends, saying, "You're never going to guess how this is being transmitted back to the US." You know. And they're 50, 80 years ahead in actuality, but as they are mainly sort of military based, the public is not able to use it. I think primarily of Tesla when I think of repressed technology.
Yeah.
I mean, apart from the observational data collected by yourselves, is there any kind of super duper technologies that will shut up the eco-fascists once and for all that you can get hold of?
No, I don't, not to my knowledge, but there may be many things out there which are hidden. You see, most physics and science funding is from the military, so we don't quite know what they're getting up to, or even if they know some of the things that I've been finding out. I don't think they do, because there's obviously great surprise when we do make forecasts. But I would urge people obviously to have a look on our website at what we know so far, and things we're doing will result eventually in a paradigm shift, if you like, a change of ideas in the way the sun and the world's weather operate and interact. Because in principle, it will be possible to make long-range predictions, many weeks ahead with the accuracy of current one-day ahead forecasts, and to also forecast extreme events years ahead in principle for anywhere in the world.
And your website, should people choose to check you out, and I recommend this website. It's some excellent forecasts on there, long range and short range, and it gives an overall view if you need more information about the global warming fraud. It's weatheraction.com, weatheraction.com. You're listening to the Free Truth Show, for those watching on YouTube later, and we're talking to Piers Corbyn from weatheraction.com, an astrophysicist. I close my eyes and all the subjects just flow across the